it's Leela, the proud Poly Kinky Queer Slut. Today's question is, what do you think of prostitution? Prostitution is called the oldest profession because it is. It's been around for, ever, for most of human history. I have absolutely no problem with prostitution as on the face of it. A person deciding that they want to work by giving sexual pleasure to other people and that they want to utilize their body in that way to earn a living, I see no problem with that. It's an ethical choice. It's a choice a person's making. And in the scenario where we're talking about a person making a consensual, ethical choice in an empowered work environment. So, for example, in my job, in most jobs, you work for an employer or for yourself. And if there's something you don't want to do, you can say, no, I'm not going to do that. And you can decline to do that. And that is the case also for most prostitutes, where they can make a choice to not engage with certain clients, choose their clientele, choose what they want to do with that clientele, negotiate both what they're going to be doing and what they're going to be compensated for doing that. And I think that gives an option for a lot of people to get things that they want sexually that they wouldn't otherwise get. The problems I see with prostitution have to do with the prohibition on prostitution and the kinds of abuses that happen when you drive a system underground, when you drive an economic system underground. So prostitutes cannot get the kind of support that any of the rest of us can if our workplaces become abusive. So if my boss were to be taking advantage of me in some way, I can sue that boss and bring him up in court on charges for being abusive. Because prostitution is illegal, that is not an option that a lot of prostitutes have. Also, a lot of places that have decriminalized prostitution, meaning they don't convict prostitutes, those laws are not being applied evenly. And what you find is like higher end escorts aren't getting prosecuted, but people who are working on the street absolutely are. And it's ending up being very classist. I also don't think there's anything inherently wrong with hiring a prostitute. It's not something I've done, and honestly curious about the experience, but I'm a law follower, generally speaking. I'm a rule follower and a law follower, and as long as it's illegal, I just can't see myself doing it. But I do think that it is interesting in terms of in our sexually repressed society, we don't have all that many outlets for this. And a lot of people have a lot of sexual shame and feelings that they can't get what they want. And that might be an outlet. I do think that nothing excuses abuse. Nothing excuses assault and abuse. And I do not equate prostitution with assault and abuse, but because it's driven underground and made illegal, there are less protections, and therefore there is more assault and abuse than we would otherwise see if it were legal, and if prostitutes were treated with respect, if it were frankly a respected profession, which I would really like to see it be. I really think that we get very negative about sex workers, and we malign sex workers, and really what we should be doing is celebrating them as people who are helping to fight the sexual repression in our society. So I know that's a controversial opinion. I know a lot of people feel differently, but that's my personal take on it. And frankly, I think that if we were more open and if we had less repression around these things, I think we could see some really beautiful things happening in the spaces of public intimacy and a market for it that serves the people who want to take advantage of that. So, that's just my perspective. Thank you for listening. This is Leela, the proud Poly Kinky Queer Slut. You can ask me anything at kinkyqueerslut@gmail.com. And have a great day. Thanks.